This is a CBS 4 Tropics Watch Update.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Jeff Baradelli in the Storm Center with the latest on the tropics. There is a lot to talk about. I want to start with Hanna. We'll briefly talk about Hanna, and then we'll move right over to Ike. Obviously, that's the main focus for South Florida. However, this morning, Broward County is getting socked with a lot of heavy rain, especially in the northern part of the county. Some places have received 4 to 5 inches of rainfall. So here's a look at radar and satellite. This is Hanna, located to the east of Melbourne. It's pulling away pretty quickly. However, this heavy rain is going to last in Broward County for at least the next couple to few hours. The southern part of Miami-Dade County actually very nice right now. And actually, in case I forget to mention this, it's going to be a nice weekend across South Florida. And you can always check out our local forecast. We also have a local video forecast here on CBS4.com. But Hanna is strengthening, and I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into a hurricane sometime later today before it makes landfall in the Carolinas. After that, it'll move up the eastern seaboard and drench places like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. Across the tropics, it is almost the peak of the season. Next week, Wednesday actually, September 10th, is the peak of the hurricane season. We have 3 systems out there right now. We talked about Hanna. The one we're most concerned about is Ike. East of that's Josephine. We're not going to concentrate much on Josephine because we have much more pressing issues, and that is Hurricane Ike, which has weakened a little bit overnight. You can see the northwest side of the storm is not quite as well formed. It's not as concentric a circle as it was before, and also the eye is not as visible as it was before. It's encountering both some dry air and also some wind shear. So the latest advisory is the 5 a.m. advisory. Next one comes out close to 11 o'clock. Winds 125 miles an hour right now. It's moving towards the west, if not west-southwest, at 15 miles an hour. It's Category 3. It's located over 1,000 miles to the east now of South Florida. Here's the official forecast track and intensity from the National Hurricane Center. It actually could weaken as we head through today, tonight, and into tomorrow. But then after that, it's going to enter a much more favorable environment out here in the Bahamas. Notice the official track does take it a little bit to the southwest because there's going to be a pretty big area of high pressure to the north steering it. Eventually, it'll reach the edge of high pressure. That means 2 things. It could curve more to the northwest. In addition, it will slow down. And because it's nearing the edge of high pressure, the winds will decrease over it, the wind shear will decrease, and it could actually increase its intensity. And right now, the official forecast is for a possible Category 4 on Monday and again on Tuesday. Notice how close it is to us on Tuesday. Now, this is the cone of error, the cone of uncertainty. Could be as far south at this time period as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday as the northern part of the Caribbean, and maybe as far north and east as the northern Bahamas up towards the Jacksonville coast area. But again, we are in the center of the cone, so at this point, we don't know anything for certain. This track is not set in stone by any means, but certainly just keep tuning in to CBS 4 and CBS4.com for the latest information. All right, let's look at the environment around Ike. There is some wind shear on the northwestern side. It's northeasterly wind shear, strong winds in the very upper part of the atmosphere. Also, this sliver of red here is some dry air making into the system. We're not surprised by the fact that it has weakened a little bit. That will continue today, tonight, maybe tomorrow. But then after that, the shear weakens, and the low wind shear means that there's a favorable environment for strengthening as we move into later Sunday, Monday, and also into Tuesday. Plus, water temperatures just off of the coast here, very, very warm in the Bahamas. There is some lower water temperatures located near the Turks and Caicos Islands because of upwelling from Hanna, which has been sitting there for the past couple of days. That may impact the system, but as it moves closer to us, again, the winds in the atmosphere are favorable and the water temperatures favorable for the possibility of strengthening. What is steering Ike? Ike is being steered by a big area of high pressure, which is going to be building towards the south, and that's why we think the initial motion may be southwest. But eventually, once it reaches the edge of this area of high pressure, it could very well begin to move towards the northwest. Now, there are a couple of scenarios here. High pressure stays strong. Some of our latest computer models are indicating a stronger area of high pressure, which actually bridges Florida. If that were the case, the storm would be forced to the west, closer to South Florida, even a couple of our computer models pushing it towards the south. However, there is still the possibility that high pressure will weaken a little bit, and if that's the case, it will provide a corridor, an alleyway, if you will, up the eastern seaboard. Scenario number 2 means Ike turns to the north through the Bahamas and then up the eastern seaboard. Right now, we're not exactly sure what the eventual outcome is going to be. Here's a look at the computer models as they relate to Ike, and notice almost all of them do turn it southwest, only to turn it northwest again, especially as we head into the early part of the week. Some of the computer models do move it into Cuba and then eventually into the Gulf of Mexico. The majority of the models do move it towards South Florida. If this were to take that southern track, it would weaken over Cuba, but right now we cannot guarantee anything. We're still several days out before the storm gets here. So things will change, and you should just keep tuning in to CBS4 and CBS4.com for the latest information on it. At this point, no action is really necessary except go over your hurricane plan. You can see it on the bottom right here, and replace any necessary items in your hurricane kit. Just to sum it up, now it's a powerful hurricane, but not a Category 4 anymore. It's a Category 3, winds 125 miles an hour. It should be located in the vicinity of South Florida and the Bahamas as we head into Monday. And again, on Tuesday, it won't be moving very fast. That's the latest on the tropics. Be sure to keep checking in on CBS4.com for the latest updates on the tropics.